Hey everybody, I wanted to do a fun little comparison. I love comparing tools because there's so many out there and so many of them do the same thing but have vastly different price points. So the one that we're going to do today is comparing different content optimizers. So if you don't know, the most famous content optimizer is Surfer SEO. So we're going to do Surfer over here. We've got RankIQ, you might also know that one. Keysearch has its content optimizer tool, and then we're going to use two other ones. This is Raptive, which is the free one that comes when you're in the Raptive ad network, that's the word. And then we have Neuron Writer, which is one that's on AppSumo and has a deal. So I wanted to compare which is actually quote unquote the best. Now before we run through this, let's go through what a content optimizer is a little bit more. A content optimizer basically looks at the top 10 things on Google and then tries to synthesize the information from them. So we can see here in RankIQ, they give you an average word count. They do like a competition score. They're each going to have their own version of that we'll look at. RankIQ adds a time to rank factor that others don't necessarily have. But this is kind of the most important section down here, is it's going to suggest different must words or topic words, or they all have different terms for what this is. But essentially, it's not a keyword, it's just something you need to mention. Think of it like if you were going to write a post on the best things to do in New York City, if you didn't mention the Statue of Liberty, Google would be like, have you been to New York? Is that like, are you okay? Because everyone else would have mentioned it. So what we want to do is mention what they have mentioned, essentially. And content optimizers, one of the things that they do is they comb through it to pull those words for you. And you can see that like some of them aren't just like a single word, they've got like different things being mentioned, and we'll go through this a bit more. Now, they'll also try to suggest title things for you. So here they've basically said which words have to be in your title as best you can. So for this purpose, I wasted some credits, but we're going to do winter in Canada, or was it Canada in winter, sorry, Canada in winter on all 5 of these tools. So I am technically wasting some of these, and that's okay. That way we can see which one actually is the best. I do have this post pre-written as well. It is an older one. It does need to be updated. It's pretty crap. Don't at me. It's pretty bad. So we are actually going to put it through the content optimizers as well and see what their rankings are of it for where it currently stands. It does not rank in the top 10. I will say that now. So then they'll show you like a preview of the top 10. And it does try to tell you like some bits and pieces about it. We'll go through like what it's telling you. But basically a content optimizer isn't going to tell you how to succeed for sure. It's going to give you some extra little things you can do. It kind of gamifies the system of writing a post to give you more words that you should include and ways to structure it. The problem is that it's going to go off of what exists in the top 10. So like for a 0 volume keyword, it's not going to help you because there's nonsense in the top 10 usually. And for many things where it's like the top 10 are booking.com and things like that, there's not a lot for it to pull because those pages are really thin content. It's also not able to tell you extra things to add for EEAT or just to like be more helpful. It's not really grading you on that. So technically I could get an A++ score here if I just copy and pasted every word down here into the content optimizer, and RankIQ would be like, yeah, you hit all the words. Well done. Good job. We're good to go. It doesn't even check that I've used the keyword, like the actual full keyword. So take these with a grain of salt. These are meant to like make it a little bit easier for what you're doing. It's not meant to replace human effort and your knowledge. Like you are so much smarter than these tools and you are equipped with way more SEO knowledge than they are. They're just trying to help you a little bit. So I see so many people who go, well, I got an A++ in Surfer or RankIQ and it's still not ranking. What did I do wrong? And it's like, you just stuffed a bunch of words in there. Like they don't even technically have to be in a logical order, and it still is going to tell you, oh, well done, like you did so great. But like, we don't care about that. We want to rank. So remember that these are just like an add-on on top of it. So let's go through what we have here with RankIQ. So it's given us a grade of A++, which means that like basically everyone ranking for this post has done a pretty good, like a really good job, and we need to compete with that. So if it was like everyone had done an F or something and just like not really included any of these words, we don't have to do as much. But if everyone's done a really good job, we're going to need to include more of these must words. Then we have our average word count is 2,666. That's going to be pulled from the top 10. Sometimes these tools do glitch and like pull extra coding from the site and will like count sidebar text and like, or even sometimes like comments in it. So I always worry about word count and will kind of double check this. I also care more about the people who are at my level than like a TripAdvisor that'll mess things up. The competition score is like of RankIQ's own devising. They have their own, this is not a DA score, this is just like a competition score, and 28 is decently challenging according to it. For where my DA is and my topical authority, it's doable for me, but it's definitely not the easiest keyword. Time to rank is like their own version of like how long did it take other people to like go from publishing to getting on the first page. And so average is kind of, I think that's the slowest they even have, which would just mean it's slow technically. But yeah, so we have that there. Then down here we have the different words that we should add in. So we have best places is the first one that they think is most important, which probably means everyone's doing best places to visit in Canada in winter. Then we have things like the Northern Lights, Niagara Falls, Quebec City, a bunch of different like locations. We've got the words winter months. So yeah, a lot of like different things here, but these all do make sense to me. Most of them are around very common winter activities or variations of the term like cold, basically. So we've got tons of options here, and I could see myself being able to use the majority of these pretty easily. Then in the title modifier, or title analysis area, pardon me, we have, I like that in is the one that it sees as being like the most important. It's just kind of funny to me. So we have in, we have winter, we have Canada. Those will definitely have to be in there. It's literally our keyword. But then they have a bunch of other words, and then you can put your title in here. I do like that you can see everyone at a glance. I really do like being able to be like, okay, I can see absolutely everything I could do here, and I really want to check the titles, so this gives me a good opportunity to do that and get an idea of where I should go for it. It also has the DA of the people up here, so like this is why it's challenging. There's only like one person who's has a DA below me here. I do still think I could get in here because some of these don't have the topical authority I do. Just gonna need some backlinks. And then, oh, these are the number of referring domains linking to them. And oh, those are like the no follow ones. So these are like kind of trying to tell you the number of backlinks more so, whereas like key search can sometimes pull internal links and stuff. And then it wants to tell you the ones that are no follow, so you're not like, okay, all of these are do follow links. Okay, and then we have the 3 with the highest content grade. Cool. So the thing that I really want to look at when we're comparing these is the word count different? And are the words that it suggests different? I think that's going to be the best way to compare them. So next we're going to go to Surfer. And what Surfer does is a little bit different. It has a slightly different structure. So over here, we can see that it has given me all of these words, but it's also telling me how often to use them, which RankIQ, like that's what this little like 17.87 thing means, is like not use it 17 to 87 times. It's basically the density with which it appeared in the top 10. It's very confusing. It would be better if they told you how often to use it, but whatever. I do think Surfer overdoes it, to be also fair. So here we have Canada and winter. We actually have our keyword showing up, which I do think is a nicer thing with Surfer, is that it does tell you to use your keyword. We have winter sports, cross-country skiing, ice skating. So immediately I can notice that these are completely different. So places to visit does show up, but it's much lower. We have winter months, again, much lower in the list of things. And what is interesting to me is it kind of dives more so into the activities and then weather than the other one did. So we can see that like a lot of the same things are showing up. There's definitely more here, like vast country I didn't see on the other one. I didn't see Eastern Canada or early April. I don't really know. Early April to me is like winter's done, I would hope, but Yeah, so there's a few extras here, I would say. And there's some extras like entire city. So some words that like I wouldn't think are as pertinent to a winter in Canada post, but it has suggested a lot there. Now, what's also interesting is the word count is massively different here. So it actually almost wants you to do like 1,000 extra words. It's 3,200 to 3,777. So that's like a lot more words. I do like that it has a range. That is quite nice. It does suggest headings and paragraphs. I completely ignore these because they are kind of utter nonsense. And then I never care about their images, so I'm going to ignore those regardless. But yeah, I think it is interesting to see that like literally the words that they say are most important are different. And just like immediately we could see that. They do have a lot of the same words, which is good, but significant differences here. And then they don't really tell you to do a title the same way. They do tell you some things to put in headers, which I think is fine, but I think we can kind of assume that. And then over here we can see like what other people's titles are, but it doesn't suggest one for us. It does, however, suggest some questions that come up with other people that you might want to add, which I think is kind of a good addition. And then it shows you a couple competitors, but like it's not as I would say as immediately at a glance helpful as RankIQ. Like here you have to go through it a bit more to hunt things down a bit. And I'm interested at the difference in the order of these. Because also it doesn't put the things like it says you should use the most times or anything first. And people are naturally going to sequentially go down this list. So places to visit still says it should be used a lot compared to like some of the ones it has up here. But clearly it's saying these things it thinks matters a lot, which is interesting to me. So then we have key search. So key search is technically it's not really free, but like we all have key search basically, and this is included in it. So like it's kind of a free bonus. So here the word count is more on par with RankIQ. We have 2,625 for the average word count, much closer to what we had. Now, even just for number of words, here there's 43 must words. We had 80 over here. I don't think RankIQ actually gave us a number. Oh, 97. So we have the most, like the highest number of must words over here. Second is surfer, and then key search definitely has the least, and I 100% expected that because again, this is like a bonus thing that we get. However, the things that it's included, it skipped right over places to visit and went right to actual things like in the place, which is interesting to me. Again, I'm just gonna keep saying interesting because like I did this, I have not checked these. I just ran them and then turned on the video, which is why I also have some weird, there we go, hair going on. So we've got Banff National Park, which is good because it's amazing in winter. Niagara Falls, also beautiful in winter. Skating, Northern Lights, Rideau Canal. So it's hitting on what I would have thought are the most important things content-wise to actually have in the piece. Where RankIQ kind of went more towards the fact that all of the posts are places to visit in Canada in winter, and pulled that, where this is more like things to do in Canada in winter, which like definitely I think would appear in both, like regardless of like whether it's a things to do in Canada in winter post or a places to visit in Canada post in winter. But we do have some overlap. We have a lot more here that are one word. Like it has like explore, world, place, and like those aren't quite as helpful, I would say. So I do find with key search, often I kind of give anything that's less than 2 words less of my attention. But key search does include the top URL keywords down here. So these are the secondary, or not even secondary, these are keywords that anyone in the top 10 also ranks for. In theory, they could have optimized for this better. Like for example, if best places to visit in Canada in winter is their primary keyword and this is their secondary, that's fine too. But so a lot of them are variations of the same thing. Canada in the winter, Canada in winter, winter in Canada, Canada winter. Like those are pretty much the same. But we've got a lot of the best places, and that immediately tells me a direction to go with this, because things to do in Canada in winter is much less prominent than the best places. And when I wrote this post the first time, I tried to fit like 4 different Canada in winter type secondary keywords into it, to the point where there is best places to visit, things to do in winter, and like winter, like there's so much going on in that post. There's a very good reason it doesn't rank. It's also like 10,000 words. It's way too long. And so here we get just like snippets of some of the top 10. It does also suggest some question keywords, and some of these are similar to the ones that we saw in Surfer. So like, is it worth going to in winter, I think is a good one. Over here, it was more about like, how cold is it? But here, is it worth visiting Canada in winter? So we've got like some overlap here, which I think is strong because people often dismiss the key search one, and like we're showing it's pretty solid. It's got a good basis for y'all. Yeah, and typically I will say the questions are not usually this on point, but I think because this is quite a general keyword, we've gotten a good amount of options here. So then here, much like Surfer, it just gives us some suggestions for headings for our H1, which is your title. I don't think any of these are really helpful except kind of the last one where it's places to visit, because we've seen that's an important thing from our competitors. But just good to look at, I guess. I don't think this one is kind of fully baked either, so I take these with a grain of salt, but I do think it is helpful. And then here you can see the SERP results just like we saw in RankIQ, so you can actually see the top 10. And I love that you can see their specific word count, so you can be like, okay, if the first one was TripAdvisor and it's 200 words, well, I don't care about that. I'm going to focus on the ones beneath it, and maybe TripAdvisor really brought down the average. So like we do have someone here, the Planet D, they write really long content. Theirs is like almost 5,000 words. So, okay, even if we did have a lot of 2,000 word ones, maybe we want to push more for the higher number. You know what I mean? And then they have their little AI writer thing that I don't think is very good, so I just don't touch that. But it is the only one so far with an AI writer built in for free, because Surfer's AI writer is $29 per article, and it's crap. Don't use it. It's terrible. Okay, so now we have Raptive. So Raptive, this, like, you can't sign up for this. You have to be in the ad network for Raptive. However, it's not something they also advertise very well, and so I was surprised to see it when I joined Raptive, and I am loving it. I really, really like it. You get $40 per month, just free, just being with them, which is great. And so I thought it was per 2 weeks, but I realized I joined I like opened it up halfway through and realized, no, it's like every month I actually asked them. So here we get kind of a mix of what we saw elsewhere. So we have 2,800 word count. So it's kind of just over what we saw with RankIQ and Key Search, but nowhere near the different number Surfer gave us. It also has a content grade, and it'll then grade your content as you go, much like RankIQ. And here you can even see the content score of your competitors, just like we could see in RankIQ. I do like that it shows you the keyword volume. None of the other ones did that for us that I saw anyway. I think that's because you have to input it. And RankIQ also, like, they're bigger on the idea of yearly traffic than they are on the monthly page volume or potential page views volume. So this is their approximation. I will say Key Search, when I search this, I think, was it here? Yeah, it says it's like 2,400. So very different number for the volume. So I don't know how accurate this is. Oh, it looks like they're powered by SEMrush for it, so that's good to know. So then we have articles on the first page. So this is the percentage of content on the first page that are articles, not like e-commerce or something. I kind of dismissed this. I don't think it matters too much. I also like knowing these, they're basically all articles, and like there's just some it kind of, I think because it's their blog section of a different site, it's just not pulling it that way, but that's fine. And then down here we get to see our competitors. So I do like that we can see all the titles again. We can see when it was last updated as well to see like, okay, how old is this content? How out of date? We can see their domain authority again, and we can see it's the same numbers we saw in RankIQ. We can see their word count. The interesting thing is the word count is different here than Key Search. So actually where Planet D looked like it was 4,600 over there, it looks like it's 2,700 over here. So if we open it up, let's actually find out which is true. And I'm guessing what happened is that Key Search glitched and it's pulling like comments and stuff. So we're gonna manually go and double check this. Yeah, so 2,700, 22. So some of those might be reusable blocks. So I think that the 2702 here is definitely the most accurate. So that's really good to know that like Raptive is more accurate for that number than we saw. I don't think RankIQ showed us the word count for each individually, and Surfer didn't show us really anything about our competitors. Key Search definitely thought that one, where was it? Planet D. Yeah, here it says 4,693 words. So good to know. I mean, I do think that its recommendation overall for the word count made more sense to me if it was the same as RankIQ and Raptive. So it's interesting that it got that number even with messing up that word count. But then this one thinks these two have more. So this one thinks To Someplace New has 4,400 and that Canada Crossroads is 5,100. And this, just didn't pull either one for some reason. So, okay, fair play. Then I love this feature where it tells me their specific outline down here. So I can just see exactly what their outline is. I can see their title, we get the content grade, and it gives us a little like description of it. But this means that it's pretty easy for us to go in at a glance and start creating our outline without needing to open 1,000,002 things. Then we've got the questions down here. And I like that it pulls from a bunch of different places, but we are getting a number of the same questions we saw before. So how cold is it? Is it worth going in winter? We've got some extra ones from Quora. Can you walk from Russia to Canada in winter? That was like such a myth when I was a kid that we were all like, I bet you can do it. You can't. The Bering Land Bridge is like not a thing anymore. Okay, here we have the topics to cover. So we'll go and actually look at all of them in a second. But looks like they're a lot more general to start, which is interesting. So like national parks generally instead. It does give us the number of uses here, but when you're in the outline, like, or in the article, like creating it, it doesn't pull these as easily in like the content grader area to tell you the number of times to use it, but it does kind of like mix RankIQ and Surfer in that way. And then I love like the stats. It's the only one that lets you do this, where you can like run it to get it to give you statistics that are relevant to the topic. And then we have commonly cited links, so things that like everyone else uses as an external source, which is so helpful and so quick and easy. And then here it actually gives you some ideas to start with. So things to do or places to visit. It gives you like kind of the basis of an article. This is a little bit like I would say Key Search's free AI. I don't like Key Search's free AI. I don't really like this one either, to be honest. Like if we click start with this, you'll see like it just gives you the title and a description. It's not really giving you anything, so I just don't bother with it. But if we go to the content grader, so this is where you'll see all of those words that we talked about. So we have Canada, British Columbia, national parks, resorts. So we have Northern Lights all the way down here, ice skating down here, best places down here. So the things that were at the top for RankIQ and Surfer are more in the middle. Definitely we still see a lot of the same stuff, just in a different order. I think this is the first time I've seen Churchill kind of that high up. Jackets, first time I've seen that. So there's not quite as many. I don't know how many there are. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so 16 times 2 times 3. What's 16 times 3? Jesus, I'm gonna have to do some math. I'm not good at quick mental math. Okay, 48 plus we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 6. So 54. So we only have a few more than we had with Key Search, which is good to know. So it's not gonna pull quite as many equally. I think it did pull different ones though. Because like this, I mean, technically with Key Search, I would say 20 are actually helpful. And even like here, we get more variations of the same thing. And with this one, a lot of them were quite different, which is nice. Like we didn't have as much overlap of like winter sport, winter sports, sporty winter, I don't know, whatever. Like they seem to be much more, almost like they're grouped a bit better. I don't know if that for sure, but just from my opinion on it. And then you can even like pull the questions in, so that's good to know. Yeah, so similar-ish there. So now we have Neuron Writer. There we go. Okay. So same thing, Canada and winter. Neuron Writer is a newer tool, so we do have to remember that. I am also newer to it, so equally, I am not perfect at it. So here, it's going to actually let you select the people that you want. I don't love this just because for someone who, like, I like it for me, but for someone who's newer, you are gonna have to then make those choices. However, that being said, the good thing is you can then toggle off like the TripAdvisor thing that I said to kind of ignore. So like I do see both sides of it. But for our purposes, we're going to use the exact same top 10 everyone else had. And I want to see now, because I'm interested in the Planet D. Yeah, so it also thinks we have 4,000 words for their post. So it looks like whatever it's using to comb the site is having the same issue that we saw with, what's it called? With key search. So we're going to update and continue. So here we go. So I hate when it does that. There we go. So now we have, so they have their competitor's best is like how high of this score we kind of need. It gamifies it in a similar way to Surfer, so I don't think I mentioned that, but Surfer here, I did miss this entirely, sorry. Surfer has their average content score and then the top content score of like the number one person and what they got. Surfer really wants you to over optimize though, so like I would say I'm most comfortable right around the 70 mark. If I go over that, I do really feel like it gets over optimized, especially when you think of like images and all that stuff being thrown in. It's just a lot. So Neuron is definitely structured after, oops, didn't mean to click on that, structured after Surfer that way. So then here, I like that they break it out by terms in header, terms in article, and then they also go by like basic, so like kind of just topics to mention, and then extended down here, where they have like longer terms, and I would almost call it like kind of long tail must words, I guess, where like it's not that they're just long, but they tend to be more specific on stuff. So you can see like a lot of the places to visit is kind of re-mentioned. See the Northern Lights rather than just the Northern Lights, that sort of thing. We do here, just like with Surfer, get the number of times to add it. Obviously, like just winter is going to be added a ton. You can also like add more to it if you want to. When I'm glancing at this, I am seeing that we do have a lot of similar ones to what we had in the others. Just like the order of them is so different. So places to visit is high up, just like it was with RankIQ. Canada and winter is high up like it was with Surfer. But then a lot of these are in spots they weren't in before. And maybe that's because of the way it's bundled them together. I think that's our first mention of winter camping too. First mention of the Olympics, 2010 Olympics. That was from a while ago. A winter zipline network, that was not mentioned in the other ones. So I think this one's pulling some more specifics in a very different way. And it does separate out the ones that should be in your headers, which I think is a benefit, but there is the risk of someone overdoing it with these in the header. And if we figured out that best places to visit in Canada in winter is our focus, having like ice fishing and carnival and stuff in the shoved into H2s could be detrimental to people. I think likely it's better for them to be H3s as subsections under like going to Alberta in winter or Montreal in winter or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of my first impression there. They do have this like little AI writer. I'm not really a fan of it. I just find it does like quite thin AI stuff, and that's not helpful to us. So like for me, an AI writer has to like fully write, and it's kind of like key searches AI that way. However, not offered by the other ones included in your plan. It does depend on what plan you have though, as to like how many AI writing words you get. The one I have doesn't have a lot because I wanted to try it first and I realized I just don't need them. Like I don't like it enough. And then here we've got some questions. So let's see, like why does it put 2 question marks? That's so weird. Is it worth going to Canada in winter? We see that again. How cold is it? So the questions are very similar. I think it's the first one that we've had is Toronto worth going to in December, but we've got, Oh, it looks like the questions are for how, like where it shows up. That's interesting. For like the number of question marks. It's pulling from competitors' content, Google Suggest, and people also ask. So it's not pulling from like Quora or something, but it's pulling from a number of spots, which is interesting. I don't know how like Google Suggest and people also ask is that different, I guess. Like they often overlap, so I'm not sure. Um, and I personally wouldn't care if the question's in my competitor's content if it's not in the other areas. And then we've got their H1s. Okay, so that lists all their titles. It just doesn't tell me whose is whose. Oh, and it lists way more. It lists like all of the people. Oh, that's overwhelming. Then we have their H2s. I hate it when it just like includes the number because then it just changes. It just doesn't work for every like one else's post. But it's really pulling from like more than just the competitors I selected. So we're getting a lot. But this one does have the H3 selections that I think is potentially beneficial to help people sort through it a bit more. But like look at how many there are. Like I don't, that's a lot. I don't know who they're from, so I want to go and be able to see that. Okay, so here we have term length. Oh, so these are like where you can like adjust the settings. We don't want to adjust it here. We want to like just have the same kind of competitor situation. If we go to like this top analysis, I don't know if there's a better way to say that. It does show you the competition scores, and this is where we're going to get something a bit more like what we saw in the SERP analysis on our others. I don't like that you have to like manually get it to give you the pay. I should have selected domain authority there. Whoops, because I wanted to see if it's the same, and it's going to take forever. Oh, okay, that wasn't that bad. There we go. Okay, so it did everything. Good. So similar numbers. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't think of Canada Crossroads down there. It's pushed them out for some reason and added this Pando trip thing. But otherwise, the same numbers we saw. So then we have external links as well. So that's outbound. I don't think that's inbound, like backlinks, but it's unclear. Okay, we have page title, we have language. I mean, I think language is kind of unnecessary to some degree, but maybe for other niches. The content length is weird. Like to me, it's like it's character count, and I'm just like, who needs that? I guess like I wouldn't ever think to care about that, but whatever. It does have a readability score, which I think is semi-interesting. I don't know enough about readability score from their system to optimize for that. So then here is where we get their like little preview of them, which is very much similar to what we had with Raptive. So it looks very kind of the same. Oh, they have a schema explorer. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Where we can then see what schema they have. So we can see that they have their article author set selected. You could see if they had FAQ schema. You would probably be able to see if they have, I don't think any of them have a video for us to check. No. But you're able to see a lot. So we get a lot of information there. So here we have the titles. Okay, so this is where you can see them attributed. I haven't used Neuron Writer much. As I said, I am quite new to this. So I do like that they break down, and they break down the character length too, which is nice. But so here you can see whose title is whose. You can get the metas, which like, I don't think that's the most important. Okay, so here's where we can break down the headers by person. I don't think you need that if you have the overview, to be honest, but that's fine. And then if we want to go through the specific bits, so this does give you like a lot more opportunities to analyze your competitors, but I kind of like to do that like opening their site and just doing it myself, but that's just me. And here's like the features. Okay, so someone did have a video and it just didn't show up in schema, so maybe they don't have it set up right. But so I do like that you can see when they have videos and tables. I think the form is kind of dumb because oftentimes it's a contact form and that doesn't, or a newsletter form, and that doesn't really matter. And for travel, they're always going to have images, but the video is the one that like I really want to know, and tables too. If they have those, I probably want to include them. Then we have some related, so these could be good secondary keywords, which I think is an interesting addition here. I don't know why it thinks summer in Canada. I guess because like it does say it's related, but like not really. And then here's where we have all of those terms. You can see how often to use it. They have their importance score, I guess, which is kind of like the weird ranking and RankIQ for it. And we've got a lot here. I don't even know how many. I'm not going to count these ones. I don't know how. I don't want to sit here and count every single one. I do like that it'll generate internal linking ideas. So if I hit this isn't something the other ones had, so we'll give it a moment. So here, ow, that was a wall. It's going to find posts on my site that it could link to. Now this is the post that I wrote, so obviously it's going to be similar, but I do like that it suggests other things on my site that might be good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I thought so. So there's 10 here. And so that gives me my 10 internal links basically. Now, not really, because this one is like the post that I have on the subject. And I don't know that reasons to move to Canada or not to move, or that Canada Travel Guide or Exploring Canada actually are that related, but it's trying to go for like some general stuff. So I do appreciate the intent there. And I like that it gives me like different anchors to consider for those things. That is good to have in mind when you write, and I definitely recommend that. And then if you want to leave comments for like your VA or something, if you want, you can also set the target URL of what the URL is going to be for the slug, and yeah, you can share it around. So we're going to now put in my existing article. I am just going to copy it, so it's going to pull some random stuff, but we'll just go for it. I wrote this before I got into Mediavine, and I definitely overdid it with, like, I initially put this through Surfer and definitely overdid the optimization, so remember, please don't judge me too harshly. And nope, that didn't work. What happened there? Okay, something's going wrong. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause and troubleshoot. Okay, I don't know what that was, but it really got mad at me and like wouldn't even detect it to import it. So I had to manually go and import it, which was weird. So yeah, we're gonna just copy and paste it everywhere. Oh, is it not gonna let me? Come on, Surfer. Ugh. I absolutely hate Surfer sometimes. So it's not even gonna let me test it because I've canceled my subscriptions. I don't like them very much, so we might not be able to run it on that one very well, but we can run it on these. So, okay. So it has a score of A++ here. It is, oh, it's only 6,000 words. I think it's the summer one that's like 10,000. So it's still very long comparatively. You can see I did best places to visit and things to do. There's a lot wrong with this post. I did import it with the pictures and stuff. There's, yeah, so this post doesn't rank, and there's a lot of reasons why, but according to Surfer, it is the be-all and end-all. And we can even run the title and see what it thinks of the title. Like, it really likes the title. I think it's definitely too long. It's right. So if I took out local guide, it's probably, yeah, there, now we're good. It was too long of a title. It's definitely not properly optimized. But yeah, these tools will think it's better than it is. So unfortunately, it's like, I can only see this stuff, which is annoying because then you can't even like, you just can't run it through to see if it's gonna like actually include all the words. You have to manually check. I am not a fan of Surfer. They're quite scammy in my opinion. So here we have it. Yeah, so it's too long. There's only a couple words I didn't use, like World Pond Hockey. Don't really know what that is anyway. Travel tips, pretty general. Skiing, snowboarding, I probably included them separately. Keywords, there's a couple, pardon me, secondary keywords that weren't used. Definitely could add those in. Those would make sense to have in there. So Key Search doesn't like give you a score of like, okay, you did so well, blah, 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 congratulations. But typically you just want to like try and max out this green bar thing and try to get all of these blue. So then if we go to Raptive, we have a score of A. Again, quite long. It has included a lot of them. Oh, I like this, potential overuse of keyword. I think that's a really good note. To be fair, it is the country, so it's kind of hard to not overuse it a bit, but whatever. I would have called it the Rideau Canal, not the Rideau Canal Skateway. Back then I didn't call it that. Now I know that that's the full name. Whistler Blackcomb, I used to just call it Whistler, didn't realize Blackcomb was like a specific thing. So there's a lot of things here that I could fix up. I don't necessarily have to though, because like according to it, you're done, and I'm not, definitely. So according to this one, I score 56. That's interesting that it has kind of a lower score for me. It definitely has a lot of times where it's like, hey, you went too hard at this keyword. Like this is too many times that you've used it, which Surfer does as well, where it'll tell you like, hey, you did it too much. So we've got a lot of them, and then the extended ones, I don't use a lot of the extended ones. That is true. I do think a lot of them do cross into each other a bit, but yeah. So readability score, it says the 36. It wants it to be more of like kind of closer to 45. So I would probably need to learn more about the readability score to make that happen. And then according to this one for headers, I have one header, one title, 9 H2s. I don't care about number of bolds that much, and then 26 images. So we can kind of see that that's on par with images here in headers. I really wish there was a way that I could show this. I'm gonna try one thing. I'll be right back. So unfortunately, I could not find a way to make Surfer work. I tried to export it. I tried to figure out ways that I could somehow make it cross over. It's just dumb. I also just think it's frustrating when you cancel a subscription to a product like this, where like you would want to be able to still use this, and they don't. First of all, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you it'll stop letting you do this stuff, and like the optimizer's right there. So like, yeah, and I mean, it's better than RankIQ. If you cancel your RankIQ subscription, they will just like boot you out immediately. They won't even like tell you to download your content stuff. So better, not good. So yeah, but so what we've seen here is that they all have their own issues and similarities. I think the fact that like the optimization kind of worked across the board, I definitely made this one with Surfer initially, and it did get like quite a high score with Surfer back then. I think it got like an 80 out of 100 or something. So clearly there's similarities in the way that they optimize, but optimizers are not the be all and end all. However, like of these, I think they're all pretty similar. Like it just comes down to what you find the best. So like I am a fan of RankIQ. I like that key search is free. I would 100% start with free key search. Like that's really the first port of call, because you also just kind of get like a ton of them. Like you can run as many as you want. They're part of your like credits for the day or whatever. So you're not really gonna hit a limit, and that's the best way to start optimizing them. Then I would say like I didn't get RankIQ till I got into Mediavine, and it was like a treat for myself then. So then I got RankIQ, and it's good, but like much like with anything, it can definitely over optimize. And I do find that it's expensive, and not everyone needs it every single month. You can downgrade from the $49 a month plan to a $29 a month plan, but you have to like email them. They'll kind of be rude about it, even though it's something they offer and it's like a hidden thing. It's really weird. So yeah, and then you only get 8 a month, but even 8 a month, it can be a lot for people. So yeah, it's a thing. So it can be a challenge for sure. Surfer I struggled with because I find Surfer really wants you to over optimize content to an insane degree with like all of these. So for me, I find it the easiest one to overdo. I really like Raptive, especially the fact that it's free for me, and unfortunately like you do have to be in Raptive to use it, so not the best. I would say like Neuron Writer is really good as well. So it and RankIQ are kind of the two that I would say I like best. I would still be careful with Neuron Writer because it has the same issues as Surfer does in terms of like kind of pushing you to over optimize a bit too much. Because like as we can see, the other two thought this was a great article. This one only says 56 out of 100. So it's not like it wants me to do even more optimizing, and that could be a problem. So just be careful with all of these. Neuron Writer is going to be the most inexpensive over time. There is a lifetime deal on AppSumo where you can get like, I think it's like $69 a month $69 for lifetime. And then you get 25 optimizers per month. And on top of that, You get a couple of the AI credits. There's a couple extra things you get too, but like for this purpose, we're just running this. Yeah, so over time, if you use it for more than 3 months, it will have made your money back essentially from if you used RankIQ. Now that Surfer is $29 a month for 3, it's like you just using it for 1 month is technically better than using Surfer. Ultimately, Raptive is going to be like, it's my favorite because it's free for me now, but you have to get to Raptive first, and it's kind of like it would help you get there to have it, but yeah, all that. Raptive is powered by SEMrush, so SEMrush does have one of these. I don't use SEMrush, I don't really love it, so if you have SEMrush already, just use it there, and then you're set. So I wouldn't say that this is a priority. I don't think it's even something you necessarily need. I got into Mediavine, like I used 2 free Surfer ones that I got when I first joined Jasper, and if anything, they impeded my progress because, like, as I said, this still doesn't rank. It technically is optimized, but it's crap. So I actually think they did worse for me than helping. But yeah, I hope this was interesting and helpful and kind of cool to get to see it use, like, it to see them do it all for the exact same keyword, which most people don't do. But now that I have 1,000,002 of these things, I can spare a couple of these analyzers. So yeah, I hope that helps. And if you guys have questions, let me know.